Hey, it's Tim here. In 23.2, Tableau have added the capability of adding sensitivity labels to a dataset as part of the data management add-on as part of data lineage. So there's a whole tree of features. Nonetheless, as ever, let me show you how this works. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so there's two places that you can edit this label. It's on the data sort on any specific asset or on a specific column inside of a dataset. So you can see here, I'm inside of this top salesperson data source and it's already marked as certified. And it's got this sensitivity label. To add the sensitivity label or change it, you just go to these three dots. You get the typical drop-down menu you get with all Tableau assets. And then in there, you'll see a new option there for sensitivity label. If you click that, you'll see that that is pretty much the only label in this particular group of labels. What is interesting is they might add other types of labels. For example, PII data might become a sensitivity label, sort of a separate like level, if that makes sense, in this video, in this menu. And so what you can do is you can show the label, you can hide the label. All that does is switches it on and off, and you can give a little bit of a message and context. This message appears when you click on it. So when you click on that, it actually automatically expands the label immediately and allows you to close it. The interesting thing is it suggests that there's also multiple ways you can add this. And I've not actually been able to get the second way of adding sensitivity labels to work, and that is on specific fields. What should happen according to the documentation is if you go ahead and tick one of these options, the action button should appear. And once the action button appears, you should then be able to mark this particular field as sensitive. So a sensitivity label will appear right here. If I actually go to the documentation on this, let's go to, the documentation recently has just become a bit of a funny thing. So let me just finish this and I'll explain that in a second. You can see here there's two ways of doing it: adding sensitivity label to the asset, the data source, the workbook, the connection, or you can add it on the table page to a specific item, and they actually show you the process of going through and doing that and how it appears. So you can see here it appears, this is the one I showed you already on the asset, and this is one specifically on the column. And the nice thing is when it appears in the column, let's say this particular data source has 4 sensitive labels, it will appear as this sort of numerated label. So it will have sensitive data and the number of sensitive items as part of that asset. So the data source itself might be sensitive, but also the fields might be sensitive, and you'll get a number of how many sensitive fields are in there. This is just a nice way of using this. Now, what they also talk about is the fact that this is API first. So there is only one built-in sensitivity label, sensitive data at the moment. Using the REST API, an administrator can create new sensitivity label values or change the name and description of an existing one. Typical additions, name and descriptions might be public, internal, confidential, restricted, and mission critical. So by default, you get one, but admins can go in and add more. And this also suggests that there's a little bit of an API capability to tag specific items. So no one's expecting you to go through your Tableau server and go manually finding every single field. There should really be an API to be able to go and do this. But I don't know anywhere near enough about the API to actually validate whether that is possible, but that seems to be the claim by Tableau, that it's built API first. So if it's built that way, let's hope that that is actually possible. Let me know in the comments if you are able to validate that. Where I'm getting that API first sort of terminology, if I go here to the Tableau new releases setup, you can see here that you get this sort of text, and this feature was built API first. So no matter where you store sensitive information today, you can import them into Tableau. So that suggests that there is a capability to get the information and then import that sort of tagging into Tableau fairly easily without you having to do a lot of rework. So nice small feature. It's part of the data management add-on, so you do have to have that enabled. The data management add-on gives you the capability to do things like Tableau Prep Conductor, manage metadata and lineage inside of the product itself, although you can use the metadata API to extract that data and do it yourself manually if you wanted to. So that's pretty much it. Now, what I was alluding to earlier is that, man, Tableau documentation has become really difficult to sort of find. If you go to what I used to do, which is go to the help page, you can see nothing's been updated since 22.1. And I used to go to this religiously as a way of going to find the documentation. Now, the funny thing is it has been updated. They're just not bothering updating the number on that dropdown. So it's almost like they've forgotten that this exists. And if you go into that and select what's new, it does actually generally default to the latest version. And you can see here that it's saying Tableau Cloud March 2020, March 2020.3. Okay. Now the problem is that when I actually look at that and I go to something else called the Tableau Release Navigator, the Tableau Release Navigator suggests there's actually a newer release, and so even the page itself is not being kept up to date with the same visualization. It really doesn't make sense. So to find the documentation, what I did is I went to the Tableau Release Navigator. I've made a video on this. Go ahead and check it out. I'll put a link in the description. And from there, you can then go and see the June release of Tableau Cloud. Go in there and you can see everything that's new. They also do mark what's changed. So if there's a change behavior, that also gets nicely marked. Many people keep asking me, where's the server release? Server does not get releases every release. It only gets releases every 6 months. So this release does not have Tableau server. The next release will. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. This documentation stuff is really frustrating me because Tableau, fantastic colors quit again. This documentation stuff is really getting to me because it's never now easy to just go and find the original source of something, come into a viz to click on the link inside of this when it could just be updated on the web page where most people are searching for it. Would just be a much better experience, but nonetheless, that's not what's happening. So we're just going to have to wait. But anyway, this is where I got the sensitivity labels documentation. I clicked on that, and at least someone somewhere is doing the good work of making this easy to find through that workbook. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.